Coming up today on Ignite News, the Arnie gets taken over by some furry friends. Mohawk unearths its time capsule.
But I would have preferred that it stay closed and another box got added to it.
Hamilton considers license fees for landlords.
The landlord's going to have to recoup his costs.
And Demo Camp 10 came to the Arnie. All this and more on Ignite News.
Good morning and welcome to Ignite News for Wednesday, January 29th. I'm Paula Tobias.
And I'm Rachel Williams. Here's what's making news. Police have determined the identity of a woman whose torso was found in Kitchener. The victim has been identified as 24-year-old Kelsey Louise Felker. The torso was found in a garbage bin behind an apartment building, still wrapped in a black t-shirt that read, "Forget Princess, I want to be a vampire." Police released a picture of a similar shirt to the public to obtain any possible information.
Landlords and property owners are up in arms over proposed landlord licenses for the city. Ignite News reporter Dimitri Pedikaris has more.
The city of Hamilton has been pursuing landlord licensing for years to combat poor maintenance and living conditions. A house fire that killed 5 in 2008 only motivated them further.
This fire took place in Westdale, and I think it struck home that we had to do more than what we were doing because lives could be lost and were being lost.
Councillor Terry Whitehead of Ward 8 says landlords are opposed to the additional costs of renting property.
The reality is it's a business and they're running a business, so we need to ensure that they're running those businesses safely.
Hamilton is a city that heavily relies on education, with thousands of out-of-town students paying rent every year. Landlords have always been able to make a profit off of their properties. However, some landlords fear that with enforced licensing fees and restrictions, profits may not be where they once were.
The landlord's going to have to recoup his costs. I'm going to have to raise my tenants' rent.
John Serino has been a landlord for 35 years and addressed his concerns at a special planning meeting.
To the city of Hamilton, all it is an extra tax grab that they can grab every year to raise our rents up. That's the whole agenda here.
There was a full house in the council chambers Tuesday afternoon. Several landlords, realtors, lawyers, and public representatives showed up to voice their thoughts on the proposed licensing model. The Hamilton and District Apartment Association is against licensing. They feel that it should be up to the students to find proper living accommodations, according to HDAA President Arun Pathak.
And really the students have to figure out a solution for that. If they shouldn't be taking that sort of accommodation, and the students should be able to find better housing. I'm sure they're very capable and they can find the housing.
However, McMaster University analyst Kenneth Moyle says proper accommodations are becoming difficult for students to come across.
Right now, many student landlords simply don't. They just collect the rents after chopping the house to fit as many students as possible, and they don't really care what happens to the house.
There are 3 major post-secondary institutions in Hamilton, and the city's decision will without a doubt have an effect on students' living conditions. For Ignite News, I'm Dimitri Pedikaris.
U.S. Steel says it will not reopen Hamilton's blast furnace despite increased demand. Since the furnace is not functioning, Hamilton's U.S. Steel facility has been reduced to processing metal made elsewhere. The blast furnace has been idle since 2010, but U.S. Steel's American plants are running close to capacity. U.S. Steel says it suffered a loss of $124 million in the last year.
Research in Motion has pinned its hopes on BlackBerry 10 to take back the dominance it once had in the market. RIM will launch 2 versions of the phone today. A new feature called BlackBerry Balance will allow users to switch between work and personal accounts, making it easier for users to make the transition only using one device. RIM will be hosting live events to introduce the new line of smartphones.
Mohawk College was host to display the newest developments in software. Charlie Chase joins us live in the newsroom. Charlie, what can you tell us about the new apps?
Thanks, Rachel. Many of the apps were developed by former or current Mohawk and McMaster students, many for direct competition.
And this is what we came up with
Demo Camp 10 took over the Arnie Monday night for an evening of talks and demos on some of the latest software developments to come out of Hamilton. One of the demos featured Overair, a company dedicated to the spread of near-field communication technology, or NFC. NFC allows a user to make a smartphone perform an action by just holding their device near a coded tag. Tags can act as business cards and even go as far as turning off a light, depending on the code. The company's founder, Ethan Ho, tells us what made him create Overair.
I didn't know exactly what it was, so I got some tags and then I programmed them. Just tap, and my LinkedIn profile came up, and I thought, oh my god, this is great.
Another demo featured software developer Matt Grand unveil Ham on Fire, an online app he developed in under a week.
Essentially what I'm doing is mapping out where the Hamilton Fire Services sends their units out. And from that I'm creating some statistics based on what kind of events they're mostly responding to and where they're centered and things like that.
The app pulls data from the Hamilton Fire Service incidents page and color codes it on a Google map.
The blue ones here are the medical emergencies. Those are the ones that you're going to see most. Almost 70% of the calls they respond to are medical emergencies. This nice green one here, that's a false alarm, so that means everything's fine. And then if you scroll down a bit, we've got a natural gas leak up on the mountain. 7 units are responding to that right now.
This was the 10th demo camp to be featured in Hamilton and featured demos of such apps as Hamilton Hotline and Ham on Fire. Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Charlie Chase.
2 Ottawa teachers face discipline for allegations of covering up a sexual assault of a student. A 16-year-old student was sexually assaulted in a Boston hotel by 4 roommates. The teachers allegedly failed to notify police and are charged with professional misconduct.
After 26 years sealed away, Mohawk College opened its time capsule. Ignite News reporter Scott Summerhays has the story.
The capsule was removed from the outside wall due to the ongoing construction of Mohawk College's new recreation center. But the box itself, welded shut in 1986, was not supposed to be opened for another 23 years. Karen Simpson was the president of the Student Representatives Council, now the Mohawk Student Association, from 1985 to 1986, and was disappointed they opened the capsule 23 years early.
More so when I went through my own photo album and saw that I had an invitation for 2036, but I wasn't going to miss watching it be opened. But I would have preferred that it stay closed and another box got added to it, in all honesty.
Simpson and the current MSA president, Andy Hall, opened the box together for the first viewing. Inside, they found things like newspapers, yearbooks, buttons, posters, and a letter from Karen to the future student representatives, detailing expectations of what they thought the future would look like.
I imagine everyone is driving around in sky cars and living on vitamins that provide 100% of your nutrients.
As well as what some of the students' concerns were in 1985.
Overcrowding, computer space and access hours, large student loan debts upon graduation, and credit transfers into universities. Wow. Nothing has changed. I'm definitely going to write a letter for myself to the future as well, and kind of do a bit of a look back on history. I mean, I'm a huge history buff, so I'm going to kind of look back on the progression between the SRC back then as it was to the MSA now.
Richard Anderson, executive director of the MSA, says that what they decide to contribute to the new capsule will likely be similar to what they found inside.
Certainly I want the students to put in what's important to them, so Andy had a chance to kind of reflect on what he saw today, but we'll have fun with that. I think we have a little time to come up with some new things.
Reporting for Ignite News, I'm Scott Summerhays.
Ontario's dream for a second NHL franchise is one step closer to being realized. The City of Markham voted to approve financing for a new 20,000-seat arena complex. The estimated cost is $325 million, which will be shared between the city and private investors. City councils say there will be no increase in taxes on Markham residents. There is no guarantee that the NHL will bring another team to the area.
It cost taxpayers just over $1 million to send an armored limo to India during Prime Minister Stephen Harper's visit to that country. However, government representatives say the limo was a necessary precaution made on the judgment of the RCMP. Harper was invited to India in November to strengthen political and business relationships. Now let's take a look at what's coming up in weather, entertainment, and sports. And here's a look at today's top stories. U.S. Steel refuses to reopen Hamilton's blast furnace. Research in Motion gears up to reveal BlackBerry 10. 2 Ottawa teachers have been accused of covering up a sexual assault. And the vote has gone through for Markham's new $325 million arena. The temperature's warming up this week. Let's check in with Anna for your weather update.
Rachel. The warm spring weather may be sticking around, but not for too much longer. In Windsor, we are seeing some light rain with temperatures of 11 degrees. In London, it is looking quite cloudy and is currently 12 degrees. Moving into the Golden Horseshoe, in Niagara Falls, it is currently overcast and sitting at 16. Toronto is mostly cloudy with some sunny periods and is 10 degrees. And at home in Hamilton, we are experiencing some light rain with a high of 16. This evening, the rain will continue with the temperature going down to 9 degrees. Overnight, you can expect a mix of snow and rain. The temperature is continuing to drop down to -2, and tomorrow morning, the sun will finally begin to show, but the cold weather will have arrived and it will be -3 out. Taking a look at the 5-day forecast, on Thursday, it will remain partially cloudy with some flurries, a high of -2 and a low of -6. Friday, the snow will continue with a high of -6 and a low of -8. On Saturday, the sun will finally begin to show, but will remain fairly cloudy, and there will be a high of -7 and a low of -10. Sunday, the light flurries will return with a high of -4 and a low of -8. And finally, on Monday, it will be -2 with a high of -9 and some light snow. And that's all for your weather. Let's check in with Neil for your entertainment update.
Thanks, Anna. Tegan and Sarah's Heartthrob hit stores this week. The Canadian duo's 7th album features 10 songs about love and infatuation wrapped around synth-heavy hooks. The new sound is a clear departure from Tegan and Sarah's acoustic folk sound that defined their earlier work. The album is available on vinyl, CD, and iTunes. This weekend is the Super Bowl, and the world is ready to see some commercials. According to Yahoo.com, blockbuster movie trailers will be airing the night of the big game. Disney has confirmed the TV spots for Iron Man 3, The Lone Ranger, and Oz the Great and Powerful. Trailers for The Fast and Furious 6 and Brad Pitt's World War Z are also slated to air this Sunday. Let's take a look at what's happening on campus.
I'm Kyler Sanderson here at the Arnie, where one lucky student will win up to $1,500. Everyone who comes out to pub night tonight will be entered for a chance to win. Students get in free before 11:30, so come on out for a chance to win big. Now let's look at what else is happening this week. Come out to the open mic at the Arnie tomorrow and show off your skills. It could be anything from singing to comedy to spoken word. Best performance of the night wins $200. Sign-ups begin at 5 o'clock in the Arnie and the show starts at 7. Your Friday Flicks movie this week is 7 Psychopaths, featuring an all-star cast that includes Colin Farrell, Woody Harrelson, and Christopher Walken. Friday Flicks gives you a chance to watch a movie not yet in theaters for free. The screening will begin at 12 p.m. on Friday in the Arnie. That's it for your community calendar. Now back to the studio.
CBC radio host Gian Gomeshi will be at Mohawk College Thursday night for a live taping of Q. Gomeshi will take over the McIntyre Theatre and interview Hamilton rock band The Arkells, blues singer Rita Chiarelli, and actor John Migliore. The show is technically sold out, but a small batch of rush seats will be available at the door. Tickets are $25. Doors open at 5:45 p.m. and the show begins at 7. That's all for entertainment. Time to pass it over to Julianne with sports.
Thanks, Neil. The Toronto Maple Leafs traveled to the First Niagara Centre last night in a search for a victory against the Buffalo Sabres. Leafs forward Matt Fritton single-handedly lifted his team to victory, scoring 2 big goals, one of those being in overtime with just over a second left on the clock, taking the game 4-3. Fritton was brought up after Joffrey Lupul suffered a fractured arm last week. Fritton's ability to score the needed goals is proven he belongs with the big club. The Montreal Canadiens defeated the Winnipeg Jets 4-3 last night. It was the night of the rookies as Montreal's Alex Galchenyuk and Brandon Gallagher registered 2 points in each of the victory. Goalie Carey Price was solid in the crease, yet again backstopping his club. With the win, Montreal's winning streak is now at 4 games. With the 47th Super Bowl days away, a report surfaced that Baltimore Ravens linebacker Ray Lewis was using performance-enhancing drugs. The report says Lewis used the drugs to recover from a torn tricep muscle this season. Lewis is playing his final game this weekend. Lewis denied the allegations, and he says he is not willing to entertain rumors and is focusing on a Super Bowl victory. That's all for me with sports. Let's pass it back to Paul and Rachel.
It was Animal House at the Arnie last week, but not in the way you would expect for Ignite News. Ignite News reporter Neil Reyes has to explain.
Mohawk students were treated with a visit from some exotic creatures during Common Hour. Representatives from Jungle Cat World, a zoo from Orinor, Ontario, showed off some of their wild residents. Some students, like Nick Martin, were lucky enough to get up close and personal with the animals.
Great display. I've seen them before at the Burlington Music Fest, and I really love the animals. It's really good to have the awareness for people too.
The MSA invited the zoo to introduce some of its furry friends to the students. Event coordinator Daniel Dowden says events like this help make the college experience worthwhile. Jungle Cat World travels all over Ontario, educating schools about the zoo and the animals they care for. Zookeeper Sarah Law says their outreach program gives students a chance to see wild and sometimes endangered animals and enjoy their presence.
There's many animals that are on that species of risk list, and not very many people really know about them. And then even further, you may know about them, but you don't actually find that passion, fall in love with them, and want to try to make a difference.
The experience is not only fun for the students, but also beneficial for the animals as well. Zoo animals are usually enclosed in their shelters, but the outreach program keeps their lives interesting.
One of the fun and best things about our animals that can go on outreach is this is something that they can do that's out of their ordinary. They get to come out, they get to meet new people, they get to do tricks, they get a lot of promotion when they come out. So this is kind of an enrichment for them, but we'll also, we strive to try to find ways we can do it to their own enclosures and their own homes. Enrichment, I think, would be one of the hardest, but also one of the most rewarding.
For Ignite News, I'm Neil Reyes.
An Alabama man is in hospital after a very unusual crime spree. Police say 24-year-old Matthew Anderson Todd stole 2 horses, an ambulance, and 2 cars. He suffered major bleeding when he crashed one car. He's also accused of drunk driving.
And that's all for your news for Wednesday, January 30th. For more news coverage, check out our website at ignitenews.ca. I'm Paula Tobias.
And I'm Rachel Williams. Thanks for watching, Mohawk.